there, Backyard Bob. Man, that was weird. What's going on YouTube? It's Backyard Bob. Today's episode, we're going to go over basic tools needed to start woodworking and explain why tools really aren't that important. So first things first, before we get started, I got some exciting news to share with you guys. Hopefully it's exciting to you, because it is exciting to me. Drum roll. That doesn't make a very good drum roll. This is a new channel. What? I've been wanting to do this for quite some time. I've just been too scared, I guess, to do it. And I know it's going to be a lot of hard work. I definitely got to prove myself in this realm because I'm a complete newbie. And I am a beginner woodworker too, after all. But I figured it would be fun to share my journey and show you guys along the way. And maybe we can have a good time here. Maybe learn something. I guess we'll find out. Now, a lot of people, when they think woodworkers, they imagine big shops, huge fancy tools, the table saws, the jointers, the band saws, all that good stuff, all the fancy doodads. Well, honestly, yeah, it's nice to have, but you don't need all that starting out. You know, you could just start off with a few basic tools to get started making something. See if you really enjoy doing it, see if you really like doing it. And that's what I did. And I didn't start with much. You know, I'm Backyard Bob for a reason. I work in my backyard. I don't have a shop. I have a shed that I work out of, but I make do with what I got, and I'm happy with what I got, and it doesn't limit me from using my imagination and trying to build something and create something nice. And I didn't start with fancy tools. I started off with hand-me-down tools. I had a drill and an old circular saw. Now, this circular saw was my grandfather's, handed on down to me, and yeah, she's pretty beat, but she still works. And I bought just a cheap Black & Decker corded drill, but these two things right here, I built my entire shed with these two tools right here. This was it. And I did a couple of wood projects with just these tools. Now, before we get started on the topic of tools, because this can be kind of a delicate subject for people, people get kind of crazy about their tools. I mean, me, I am a tool enthusiast. I have plenty of tools, but I also am not totally crazy when it comes to tool brands. So, with that being said, find tools that you can afford, find tools that work, and at the end, that's a win-win. So, I mean, I wouldn't recommend going lowest grade tool you can get. That's never a good idea with anything. And you don't have to go all the way to the top. Find something in the mid-range, somewhere in the middle, and you're going to get a lot of life out of that tool. Alright, to me, the first, very most important tool that you need is a tape measure. Now, most of you probably have a tape measure already, and you're already a step ahead. But if you don't have a tape measure, you're going to want to get a tape measure. Because how are you going to make anything if you can't measure it? What brand you get, that's on you, personal preference. But to me, I recommend this one, or one like this. But the one feature that I love about this tape measure, it auto stops. Now that comes in handy. Now, a lot of other tape measures, they have a little button on there, so you pull it out and you gotta click the button and it locks in place. Well, this one, you know, it locks in when you run it up, and then you hit a button, it comes back. Tape measure, you need one. Now, the next tool essential to woodworking is a circular saw. You need a way to cut the wood. Now, for most people, if you're a beginner or if you're tight on money and you're on a budget, the circular saw is going to be the cheapest option. Circular saw can do pretty much most of what a miter saw can do. The only difference is it's easier on a miter saw versus doing it with a circular saw. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. Now you got two base options when you get a circular saw. You have a corded version and a cordless version. And there's pros and cons to both. It's up to you to decide what you want to go with based on your budget. As far as a corded circular saw, you got constant power. As long as you have an extension cord that's long enough to reach to your project, or you can just plug in directly over your project, you're going to have power all the time. But in that same essence, you are limited to the cord. So if you got to go somewhere far away from whatever you're working on, or your power source is far away from whatever you're working on, you're going to have a problem unless you're stringing out a 100-foot extension cord. Now, cordless version gets rid of all that mess. You can take this thing anywhere. It's extremely portable. You can cut anywhere. You could take it in the house and cut if you wanted. It'd make a mess. You could take it up on the roof. You could cut in your car. Wherever you want to cut. You can do it anywhere. Now, the drawback with that is you're now on a battery system. So, you're going to have to upgrade, get bigger batteries, stuff like that. But, for the most part, the convenience of being portable is what really attracted me, and that's why I upgraded to a cordless model. Now, most circular saws have a feature built in where you can do mitered cuts, meaning at an angle. So if you want to do a 30-degree cut, 45-degree cut, whatever you want to do, you can most likely achieve that with a circular saw. This base plate is able to rotate into whatever degree you want up to 45 degrees. So if you want to make a 45-degree cut, let's say if you're building a picture frame or something and you want to make angled cuts, you can do that with a circular saw, which just adds to its versatility overall. So it makes it a very valuable tool to have. Now moving on down the line, you're going to need a drill. Now drills, they come in a wide variety as well. You can get basic drills. You can get a drill like this, which is a hammer drill, a driver drill, and a drilling drill, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. But you're going to need a drill because you're going to have to screw things together. You're going to have to drill holes, and yeah, you could do it by hand with a screwdriver. But you might as well not do that. That'd be horrible. And same thing. They got corded, cordless versions. I started with a corded version. I used it quite a bit, and then I didn't because I went and bought a cordless version. It's a lot better. I don't really know what else to say. Get a drill. Now another useful tool that I think is handy to have is this handy dandy wonder thingamajigger. No, I'm just kidding, it's a speed square. Speed squares come in incredibly handy. Now speed square has a gazillion features to it, and to be completely honest with you, I know like 3 of them. So I mean, I'm not like a builder. Okay, I ain't out here building cabins and stuff. So I'm not using this to its full potential. But for woodworking, and basic woodworking at that, it comes in handy. Now the main features of this is, oh hey now, this is going great. The main features of the speed square that we use for woodworking, you got a lip here. I don't know if you can see that, which comes in handy for marking your stock. Because now you can go to make a cut, you measured it out, you made a mark, you got a mark in your wood here, and you're going to try to cut along that dot and hope that you got it at the correct measurement. That's where the speed square comes in handy, because you got this lip that sits on your stock, and you can mark it down and you know where to cut. That gives you a true line to cut along, and hopefully there's no mistakes. The next feature of the speed square is to check if things are square. Since it's a true 90 degrees, you can see if whatever you're building is in square, or if it's, you know, it's supposed to be at 90 degrees, is it at 90 degrees? And it's a good little tool to check to make sure you're on the money there. Now, it's not a very expensive tool. You can find them fairly cheap at a hardware store or wherever you get your tools at. Yeah, handy. Handy dandy speed square. Now, the last tool I recommend for every beginning woodworker is a sander. At some point in your project, you're going to need to sand it. Because if you don't sand it, yeah, it's pretty rough, man. It's pretty rough. Splinters hurt. But you're going to need to sand it. Now, same with everything else. There's a million different sanders you can get. To me, I recommend getting a corded sander. Now, in this application, a cordless sander, although it works, you're going to find that it sucks down a lot of power, and you're going to be without a sander very quickly while you wait on batteries to charge. So get a corded sander. That's something that I believe you should get a corded version of. That way you got constant power all the time and you can get your project done without a battery dying. This is just a cheap, basic 5-inch orbital sander. And when you're looking at sanders and we say 5-inch, 6-inch, what that means is how big your sanding pad is. And they come in a couple different varieties. They have peel and stick, which is the sandpaper has got an adhesive backing and you literally stick it on there and peel it off. And then there's hook and loop, which is basically just a Velcro. Come on. It's Velcro. The back of your sandpaper is like a felt surface, and this is the other side of that felt surface. I don't know the technical terms for this stuff other than slap it on there and get to work. So you're going to need a basic sander to be able to get your projects nice and smooth. That way you can paint them or stain them and finish them however you want. Regardless, it's going to make it come out smooth and nice. So get a sander. This is going to be fun. I'm horrible at this, but we're going to get there. Bam. Now, I've always been the type of person that believes in trying to do things on their own. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. But at least I try, and most of the times I learn something along the way. So if it's anything from in the house to my car, out here in the shed, if I don't know how to do something, I turn to YouTube, for example, and I try to figure out how to do it. It gives me great pride to be able to do things on my own, and it feels good creating things with your hands and fixing things with your hands. So what to expect moving forward? Well, I have a lot of plans in mind, and we're going to see where that goes. I got build ideas, possibly expanding my workshop, might be working on a car, doing stuff around the yard, because I'm Backyard Bob. That's what I'm going to do. Tool reviews, because I am a tool guy. I really enjoy tools. Anything from hand tools to woodworking tools to just everyday life tools, yard tools, etc. So I'm excited to be sharing this journey with you guys. I hope you follow along and we can learn something together. So if you want to see more, go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when I post new videos. And let's build something. Yeah, that's an ender right there.